work on my Lion's Blade. So Lion's Blade, of course, is the Dark Angels battle company. If you remember from, I think, my first work in progress video, I picked up a battle company off of eBay basically, and then just been waiting for its turn to get finished. I'm planning on playing the Lion's Blade in April at a team tournament, so I've got a little bit of time to get it done. But you know, my strategy is I have like 80 Marines I need to paint. They're not all going to be works of art. I'm going to be batching this and doing them to an acceptable level and spending a little bit more time on characters. So this, and I think I have the tools with which to do a whole battle company fairly efficiently. So the first thing I've done is I needed grav cannons, and I had a lot of heavy bolters, and so I took these Devastators and I took off all the heavy bolters, and then I put on these grav cannons. So I need 6 in total for any of my lists, so I've got 6 grav cannons here. Done. Great. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to spray them all, and this is the first step of my Lion's Blade efficiency project. So instead of spraying them black and then coating them in Caliban green, of course Games Workshop has this now. So I'm going to skip a whole step and just coat them all in Caliban green. And I have 2 bottles of that, so that should be cool. These are just basically boxes with double-sided tape. So I'm going to just tape all my miniatures along here, all the tanks and everything, and then just spray everything, and that will be first step done. Then I'm going to just wash everything in either Null Noir or Bealtan Green. I haven't decided which yet. And then I'm going to pick out some details and highlights on each model, and that's it. So 3-step Lion's Blade is going to be my plan. And then spend a little bit more time on my commanders. So this is my chaplain, which I'm not going to change to green because he's a chaplain, so he's black. But my 2 other commanders are really kind of crappy, so I'm thinking I might pick up a Dark Angels Veterans box, because then they come with the dudes who are in robes and stuff, and then I'll make a couple of commanders from the Veterans box. I'm thinking about doing that. So so that works out cool, so I'm going to do that. And then I always have the option of pairing a minimized Lion's Blade with Riptide Wing, or with my Raven Wing, of course, so I have like this 2 shells of Dark Angels, so that's going to be cool. All I can say is thank God for Caliban green spray paint. I went through 1.5 cans of it, and my battle company or Lion's Blade is done base painting. My transports are all here upside down because I just finished doing the bottom. The 2 drop pods and all these troopers, and I did a pretty good job. You know, just like the Chaos Black spray, these guys are sprayed just as well, but in Caliban green. So literally ready for the next stage straight off the bat. So that made a I can't even imagine doing this with like a base brush and pots of Caliban green. Like, what the heck? It would take forever. So thank God for that. But so we'll be on to the next step after just an hour's work. So I wasn't happy with my other chapter masters. They just look like normal Marines with weird weapons. So I ended up picking up a box of Dark Angel Veterans, which comes with 5 dudes with robes. And you know, if there's anything that says Dark Angels more than anything else, it's robes over power armor. So I redid my company master, and I used the box to make 3 different company masters depending on the layout and the list I'm playing. I have 1 company master. Oh, that's just the chaplain I did earlier. I have 1 company master who has a power fist. I have 1 company master who has the Mace of Redemption, and I have 1 company master that has a storm shield. And those are the company masters that I use in my various lists depending on what I'm doing with my list. So I've got the 3 of them, and I can swap them in and out. There's still some sprues left to make a couple of more guys. I thought about making a Cypher because I could get a right and a left plasma pistol, but decided not to save the sprues just in case I need to make more company masters. And I thought I could use these guys and buy more boxes and make a sergeant that's rogue, but you know, like, that's a lot of work for no real good reason, so I decided not to do that. So got my new company masters here, ready to go. Lion's Blade progress. Progress made on the rhinos. The rhinos are basically base coated. So, you know, symbols and treads and scrolls and guns. I didn't paint a lot of detail. It was just rhinos. And yeah, so I got my 8 rhinos here all done up. Only one of them has a dude. And then I also painted up my 5 Razorback tops, one of which is a las cannon, just in case, and the other 4 are heavy bolters. And they're all swappable. All the hatches come off the rhinos. So the next thing I need to do on them, and the other thing, sorry, that I did is I put iconography on them. So there's symbols on each rhino. So they all look kind of similar. Markings, and then I have a template coming in the mail, so I'll be able to put a Dark Angel symbols on each of the hatches there. So I'm going to wait for that before I wash them, and then once I wash them, I'm going to dry brush them and weather, and then they're done. No progress has been made on the Marines. I'm really going to take some willpower to start these guys. I'm pretty sure once I start, I'll be able to roll through them quite quickly and get the momentum going. But getting started is just, yeah, it's proving difficult. So that's my ongoing project at the moment. Lines Braid progress. I've managed to force myself to start. And, you know, once I get started, I get on a roll. So just the first 5 tactical Marines. It's not gonna be crazy detail. I finished basing and washing now, so I did the bolters and the little, you know, purity seals and the eyes and the metal bits. So that's about it. And then they've just been washed all over with Nuln Oil. And the sergeant has a little bit more detail and has the chain sword. So that's how I'm going to determine who's the sergeants out of all the 80 or something normal looking Space Marines. I did try initially to wash with Bealtan green. I've seen online that some people suggest this as a wash for Dark Angels, but I just found that after applying it, it was exactly the same color as Caliban green. So it didn't really work very well, and not as well as Nuln Oil. And then I would have washed the bolters and metal stuff in Nuln Oil anyway, so I thought, why do more than one wash when I just do one wash? So I literally did this model here in the Bealtan green and all the other ones in Nuln Oil, and there was no difference that this thing had been washed at all. So I just covered over it with Nuln Oil, and now they've been washed. So we're gonna finish these guys. Actually, we'll probably leave them as they are now, and then at the end I'll just dry brush all my models all together, like literally. So we'll keep going. Slowly but surely, my Lion's Blade is coming together. I've got 2 squads of 5 now. I'm doing them in batches of 5, taking me about an hour to do every 5. So far, just base coated and washed, and I'm just gonna do some basic highlighting, maybe just dry brushing. I don't want to spend too much time on the basic Marine guys. Unfortunately, I'm not able to take these shoulder pads off. They're cemented in because I wanted to replace them with the upgrade pack, which has the molded Dark Angel symbol instead of using transfers. But unfortunately, I'm not able to do that. So transfers it is. So that's 2 squads coming along. So yeah, doing pretty well. Alright, after some painstaking mind-numbing work, I finished my tactical squads. I've got 30 tactical Marines here with 6 sergeants, and finished to the based and washed stage. So the next job, so I can play with them as it is. So that's why I've just stopped at this stage, not highlighted, and not done their bases yet. I can play with them at this stage, which is the most important thing for me going forward in the next couple of months, is to start practicing with my Lion's Blade. So I need to get them to this sort of 3-color stage. So I'm going to move on and do the Devastators and the Assault Squads. The tanks, as you know, are already done, except the drop pod. So that's where I'm trying to get everything up to that basic painted stage. Actually, I don't need 30 because one of each of these is going to be a grav cannon, and so I'll have extra, but that's the basic I wanted to do in terms of tactical Marines. So that is finally done. I got my rhinos done, so I'm moving on next to the Devastators and the Assault Marines. Alright, well, I started work on my Sisters of Silence squad. I want to use them for a game on Friday. Unpainted, but I want to get them on the table and see how they do as part of my Lion's Blade detachments. I tell you though, they're beautiful models. They're very finicky and small compared to Space Marines, but beautiful models. But man, what a pain to put together. I guess they're extremely posed, and every piece only fits together with one other specific piece. And on the sprue, they're not necessarily beside each other. So, like for example, this loincloth on this one will not fit on these legs or these legs or these legs. Only fit on this pair of legs. And like the capes do not fit on every body. Not like how all Space Marine bodies go together. Every cape is specific for a particular front part. So, for example, I cut out, I had a front body to match with a cape, and I cut out these 3 capes, and only when I cut out the 4th cape did it actually fit. Like these 3 don't fit. Every cape you see is shaped for a specific front part. They're all different. So it's like, wow. And then so I've just done the bodies. I haven't even started on here because when I started to do the first model, I couldn't find the arms whose sockets specifically fit and then matched up with the body. So I'm gonna have to like take off every single arm from the sprue and like try and match them up. Man, what a pain. So yeah, beautiful models, but very painful to put together. So we're gonna keep struggling on with that. Well, after hours of work, I finally finished my Sisters of Silence. I gotta say, these models are beautiful, but extremely painful to put together. Every piece is basically different and specific to a set of components that fits on a specific body, and if you don't match them up, they won't fit. Since I got these off eBay, I don't have instructions. I don't know if they actually come with instructions. So yeah, it was pretty painful. I had to dismantle a couple and find parts that fit together, but I finally got them done. I got my 5 Flamer girls here, ready to roll for Friday. So after many hours of toil, these guys are finally assembled. But I guess it's worth it. They're beautiful models. Should be pretty fun to paint as well. I had 15-20 minutes spare, so I knocked up some objective markers for my Dark Angels armies. Just combined some Dark Angels dice that I had with some scenery rocks, a bit of grass, and some iconography and bits from all the various sprues that I had left over. So there we go. This should come in handy for nice games.